If your website takes, I think it's 1.4, 1.5 seconds to load, 50% of traffic will leave because that's how fast attention span is.
Welcome to the Simplify Success podcast. Now, if you're listening to this audio, you're most likely pretty smart. You're doing the work, but you're still confused on how to win in business at the level that you want to, how to grow your business exponentially. My name is Marish Nadeem Qureshi. I'm the CEO of Simplify Sales and the host of this podcast. Every single week, I talk to consultants, founders, experts who have turned their skills into serious income. And we're going to take these real stories, steps, and lessons and turn them into an actionable step-by-step guide for you so that you can get the results that you want. So let's get right into it. So today we have Thomas with us. Thomas is an expert at helping businesses create amazing websites and landing pages and using AI on those websites to convert a lot more people. He's built our landing pages. I genuinely highly recommend him to anyone. And this is why I wanted him on the podcast to help us understand what makes a good landing page, what makes a good website, what are the things that we need to make sure that we're doing, and what are the things that we need to avoid. So I hope you enjoy this episode. So just to start us off, Thomas, what's your background? I know I've known you for a while. Just share what's your background.
Yeah. Started an online business probably 25 now, so 6 years ago, 18, 19. Jumped straight into like the typical SMMA, Facebook ads, Instagram ads. Did okay, started growing quite nicely. Probably got a little bit too complacent. I was just happy with where the business was. Started to see a monumental shift in the space. A lot of competition coming in. Same reason I got into it. There's no huge barrier to entry. You need to just learn the skill and then you can start pitching it and doing it. You don't need any massive upfront costs. Started to basically think about a pivot, and the pivot that I've managed to come up with is subscription-based websites. Instead of going out there and saying it's going to be $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for a website, you break it up over a monthly cost. It helps the customer because they can spread the cost of a website and get into a website they may not have been able to get into. But on our side, we start to go into a like an MRR model. So we're getting subscription. We're not getting one job this month and then scrambling to find a job the next month. We've now managed to get a recurring model in, which works really nicely for us, but it also means we can continue to do work for customers. So instead of building a website and then handing it over and then they come back in a month's time and say, I would like to make these changes, we're not going to turn around and go, fine, but we're going to charge you £60 an hour and we only do minimum of 3-hour blocks, for example. So there's that relationship where we come into the business a little bit more. We have people who want requests all the time and we're happy to do those. We have some people who don't want any requests. We're now starting to pivot again slightly into the world of AI, start to integrate AI chatbots into businesses because it's now this new term, smart websites, which essentially is you've got an AI within the site. So as people come in and start to do things or talk to an AI chatbot, that chatbot can handle a lot of the inbound queries, even booking appointments, can do a little bit of objection handling, whatnot. And then we're now also in the back end doing automations so we can get the website, talk to leads, get them booked in. And then in the back end of that, we can then have automated follow-ups, triggers, and all sorts of fancy stuff happening in the background.
And I've got to say, your websites are so freaking beautiful. I've got a lot of help from you in building mine. So that was amazing. Honestly, I love what I've been able to have now as my website. And I think having a good website just builds a lot of trust when people come through it, obviously. But
Yeah.
What about you? What have you seen as the big reason why people need a great website or a landing page?
Yeah, so I think one of the things is trust. It's massive amounts of trust. So many people now have a website, and we speak to people who say, I'm doing fine without a website. I don't need one. I understand that, but how many people do you think have dropped off? They've seen your Google profile, and then your profile takes them to a Facebook page, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And if the business is coming in, but how many people do you think drop off because they haven't seen that trust or there's not enough social proof out there that you exist? It's authority. If you've got a quality looking website, and it doesn't need to be massive, you don't need some 10-page site, single page landing page. If it looks quality, it automatically shows or resembles the service that you have to offer. No website reduces trust. A poorly designed website shows where you don't care in your own business. Why are you going to care doing a service for mine? Or why would you come around and lay a patio if you're not even going to put in your own time into the business? So I think it resembles the service in a particular way, but it also helps with authority, trust. And if someone's got a great looking website and someone doesn't have a website, who are you more likely to go with? Someone who's clearly spent time and they've clearly dedicated a little bit of, money building something that looks good.
100%. I've always trained my sales guys on this. A first impression isn't the last impression, but it determines whether or not you're going to get the second one. First
Yeah.
impression makes it easy for the second one to happen. Why fight upstream? So, like, let's say if someone wants to build a great website, obviously you are the first answer I would suggest go to. But let's say if they want to start doing it by themselves, like where should they go?
There's a lot of stuff coming out now. We always build in Framer. If anyone's ever used Figma, Framer is Figma, but when you post it, it is a website. Super easy to start using, but it has huge complexities that you can do. You can be pretty basic at it, get started, and as your business progresses, you can start to add a lot of custom components. If you want a simple website up and running, using something like Wix Studios can be very good. You can now start to use AI to build these sites. What we found is they're very generic. You can see them from a mile away, and it might be a custom website, but the theme resembles the 20 other themes that it's just made. So it's a very similar template. It's changed your name, couple of images, couple of the logos, but then you've got a website going. If you've got no website, it's probably better to have a Wix Studio website than no website at all. But if you want something that has more functionality, does a lot more. Frame is really good. Webflow is also exceptionally good, but web more technical. I honestly think WordPress and Elementor are starting to lose out because they're much older, much more chunky. People don't need that anymore. People can quite comfortably use these other softwares, and we've never had a problem using Framer. There has never been something we couldn't build that someone's asked for in Framer, whether it's custom code, simple calculators, special functions within the site. It's all doable.
I have to say, Framer is a bit complicated, and I think it takes a while to get used to, which is why I came to you directly. I was like, okay, look, I can't understand this. Help me out. What are the cool things that you can do with Framer that you can't do other places?
I think the speed is huge. The speed in which you can change things is massive. People want something done, depending on the size of it, it can be done exceptionally quickly. And the way in which it's designed, once you've got the idea of it, it's so intuitive to use. Every component's there to see. You can stack things, move things around, add pages. They're very good with responsive. Everyone thinks you can build a website, and once you've got the desktop done, the mobile's going to look great. That's just not how it works. You have to have breakpoints to edit and change each of the screens that you go on, which could be, laptop, big laptop, monitor, iPad, phone, small phone. There's all these variations that you need to think of, and Framer really helps to add these breakpoints in and change things. But I think the speed of implementation is huge. Other places, they make it a little bit more complicated to get set up. It's harder to change things. There's a lot more customizations within them, which then may end up going off in a tangent, going down a rabbit hole that you weren't needing to go down, and you've ended up changing something that didn't need to be changed. Also, Framer's exceptionally good with right out the gate SEO. They have a lot of SEO function built into the site as soon as you start building it. It's not like you build the page. You need to go back through and implement SEO tags, meta tags, change things. SEO in Framer is very good right out the gate.
And and I have to say, it has so many cool features because just the small little animations that I've seen on big websites, the big brands, and I've always looked at them like, oh wow, that looks nice, and immediately they just capture you in. You're spending
Yeah.
more time on the website, and I did not know that it was all getting done on Framer. Now that I look at a good website, I'm like, ah, Framer.
So many of them are starting to move over, and their plugin library, they've got their plugin library didn't launch too long ago. Well, I would say a few months ago it launched. There are hundreds of plugins being added that again help with even simple stuff like you can now, if you've got an image and you want to remove the background, normally you'd have to take it into Canva, Photoshop, or use remove.bg. You can do that all within Framer now. So you don't even need to leave the platform to start editing the photos to put in. So their plugins are making things more seamless, easier to go from point A to Z.
Okay, so I'm curious because in the beginning you mentioned you got this idea from someone else about the MRR model of making it a monthly subscription.
I dabble in software a little bit, and I'm often in the software space. I always wanted to get back to a situation where you're not scrambling for the next client. and you've got a consistent flow of revenue coming into the business. I did have a look around. There's one girl on LinkedIn who I'm connected with and follow. She's very good at what she does. I also started posting on TikTok, and I had a random message from a random account one day basically saying something along the lines of he's done the same thing for 5 years and he just sold his business for more money than he'll ever need. And then I had a little chat, and he followed up by saying, look, if you want, I'll book in a call and we can have a conversation and I can teach you what it is, because I don't own the company anymore, so you're not a competitor. He booked in a Calendly call and his name come up as Michael Schumacher. And I sort of questioned, I thought, someone's having my leg. All right, someone's just, messing around, having me on. But I thought, what have I got to lose? Turned up to the call, everything was genuine. Guy from London had a very similar company, MRR model, website's on subscription. He said it starts a little bit slow, but once it comes in, it works really, really well. People really enjoy doing it, and you should definitely consider giving it a go. So started pitching, and I closed my first client on LinkedIn within 24 hours of starting the service. After that, I closed another one about a day later, and I realized, whoa, there is something here. Had to change the pricing around. That was one of the biggest things I learned, is I was trying to do everything for one fee, and I quickly realized I needed to tweak the modeling a little bit. The core fundamental or business idea is still there. It's all on a monthly subscription, and it's been running nice ever since. Closing a client within less than 24 hours was the bit where I was like, I've never closed a client that quickly before. From cold to client was mental.
It's such a good feeling, because even for me, once I figured it out and I applied, like just messaging people and having the right content out, immediately got my first three. And it's
Yeah.
such a good confirmation that this works. Why is the MMR model attractive for the customers? Is it just because they don't have to pay something up front, or is it also the back end help?
It's a combination of both. I have built some websites where people have come to me and said, I want you to build me a 4 grand website or a 4 grand looking website without the cost. And it's like, okay, we have a few different plans now, but the sort of fundamentals are still the same. You can spread the cost over a year, which means if you want to focus on cash flow or you want to focus on growing the business, we work with a lot of new startups and new businesses coming into it. They don't want to go and spend 4 or 5 grand on a website because that's a huge pool of their cash. What they'd rather do is spend a monthly subscription on that, similar to a phone contract. What we'll also then do on the side of that is continuously monitor, we'll continuously update. We even do the hosting for the website. As long as you've got the domain, we'll pay the hosting. If you text me on a Thursday afternoon and say, we need to add this new testimonial, or can we get a new page out there for this service, we can get that done because it's in Framer. Building that is so much easier and faster to do. We can get that done at a very fast period of time. So we're not just a web development agency who you have to contact and we're going to reply to you 4 days later because we're busy. We become a part of your team. We've got some people who I'm in huge group chats with the business, and they'll text me and say, we need this to be updated. This is a new service coming out. We need to get these things changed. The financial side is much more appealing because more people can get into a website without it being such a high cost. We're also now a part of your team. We're not just a agency that you've used who's sort of in the background. We're in WhatsApp groups with your team members, working through a website, building it with you. As you grow, we help you grow with the website.
The biggest part of having a team is managing them. I'm pretty sure people would just text you and they're like, okay, cool, you're going to get it done.
Yeah, pretty much. Even sometimes they won't tell me it needs to be done. They'll just have a conversation about how a new service is coming out. And I'm just going to pick that up and be like, well, in that case, it needs to go on the website. Yeah, it's cool. You feel much more involved. You don't feel like you're in the dark. You're actually building business relationships with people. You're actually helping, as opposed to building something, handing it over and never speaking to the company again. You see them grow. As you grow, as we start to do bits of SEO and change things and see results coming in, you feel like you're much more part of the journey, as opposed to just offering a one-time service and then being done and then finding the next person.
If someone knows my business inside and out, it's so much easier for sure. Was there a specific project that really took Framer, took your work to the edge? Like you had to put a lot more in?
Yeah, so we build a lot of sort of sites for startups, construction companies, dentists, service-based businesses. We got approached by a telecommunications company who Only when I was building out the footer, I realized that they were about 5 minutes away from where I live, which was quite interesting. They actually said, and I quote, "We want it to feel like a 7 grand website." And my God, did they really want it to be a 7 grand website? It really pushed not what Framer could do, but the size of the websites that we've built before. They wanted custom coded elements in there. It was the real detailed things in the background. There was hints of logos, with the opacity dropped down to nothing, which floated across the behind of components. There was strategically placed elements to really bring it to life. It wasn't a simple website. There was much more going in terms of animations, different elements of the site moving around. That really pushed the size and cleanness of the website. It was something that we still use. It's in our portfolio. It's one of the main websites we advertise that we've built because it was just such a different style of website. It was a telecommunications company. We've not done something in that realm before, but it was definitely something at the end of it. We thought, yeah, that was a very cool build. That looks the bollocks. And that's going to be something that we'll advertise until we do something better, or at least on the same par anyway. Yeah, so he's leasing that website for, I think it's like £1,400 per month just for the domain name.
My God, it does make sense. Right now, my company, like my website is .org, and the big thing on my list is getting .com. It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
But wow, this does look pretty.
If you go to the homepage,
Yeah.
it's like even the blue in the background all faded out back to front, changing. And then below that, there's a grid that comes down and fades out. And then below that, there's more bees. And then there's better hidden in element. Like it was just so detailed. And he knew exactly what he wanted, which was a breeze because sometimes people don't know what they want. And I'm trying to put onto paper what they don't even know they're after. So then they come back and say, I want it to change, but I don't know how I want it to change. Whereas this guy, he knew what he wanted. So it was great working with him because he was very quickly coming back saying, change that, tweak that. We like this. This is cool. This is the sort of stuff we want. And we resulted in a very good performing website, which he's chuffed to bits with.
So, I mean, first of all, if anyone wants to check this, this is such a good website to see what the extent of what Framework can do.
Yeah.
Better.co, better.co. But the second thing that I'm curious about is, let's say if someone doesn't know what they want, like what are the things that if they were able to communicate to you better would make your job easier? Or for even for them, like if they wanted to make a website, what do they need to know?
Yeah, so we've tried to streamline this process as much as possible. We struggle. It's like getting blood out of a stone sometimes speaking to clients because they don't know what they want and then they expect us to be able to build something, but we've not really got any direction in terms of where we're going. So one of the biggest things that we ask is it doesn't have to be competitors. It's better to be, but it doesn't need to be. Find websites you like the look of and tell us areas or components or elements that you particularly like and why. Because if we can start to see other websites you like the look of, and maybe we see a theme across all three of those websites, we start to understand the style, maybe the placement, how things are looking, and we can go and build it. We had one guy wanted a solar website, and he sent me Apple's website. I thought that doesn't help me in any way at all because they are so completely different. One's tech product based, the other one is solar installation. But I think try and get an outline or even a wireframe of what you like the look of. We have some people draw things on a piece of paper and take a photo and send it to us. Try and find a website or a couple of websites you like the look of and use that as a starting point. See what they've done, the type of components they've used. Doesn't need to be the same, but the type of components they've used. Start to either take screenshots or go into Figma or even Canva and start blocking things together. Wording isn't important at the start. Images aren't really important at the start. Those things can be added in later. The important thing is the framework and the wireframe of what it looks like and how it's going to feel when you scroll through it. Then you can go through and add things in later. I think that's the biggest one. It's always been a challenge getting idea to paper, especially with clients who don't really know what they want. When we go back with them and say, this is the first draft, their feedback is that we want it a little bit more bold. Well, that doesn't help me. I have no idea what that means, which is a hard thing. And it's something that we didn't expect to encounter, but we're getting more of it. And we've tried to make it as easy as possible. An idea on a framework and a branding is good as well. Make sure you get good branding because branding can change everything. You can have a single wireframe. You can have one type of branding will make it feel one way, and then tweak the branding and it will look like a completely separate website. So you need to make sure font styling, the type of font you want, is it bold? Is it, not very bold? Do you want big colors? Do you want sort of opaque colors? Do you not want to see much? Is it going to be clean, minimalistic? Is it going to be out there? Is it modern? A modern website is very different to a bold website. People want a bold website, but they'll say they want it modern at the same time. They do two different things. A website from 4 years ago is now old. A website nowadays, it's a very different style in terms of there's things flowing around. They're much more image heavy. There's not as much wording going on because people don't want to read anymore. They just want to see. If you do kitchen remodeling, I don't need to read about the type of marbling you use. Just show me the marbling you use because that's what's going to convince me in the long run. If you do patio, show me finished patio jobs you do. I don't need to read 4 paragraphs on how you ended up doing this. I just want to see it before and after. That's the biggest stuff that's working now.
Okay, so that's a great tip. Show, don't tell. But one thing I feel, because when I talk to other business owners, the big struggle they have is how do they make that headline very appealing? Because the first thing someone's going to see is their, like the, what do you call it? The hero section? How do you craft that headline? Any tips for that?
Yeah, don't talk about yourself, solve an issue or target a pain point very quickly. It's very tricky, and building a headline can be all sorts of stuff, but you don't want to be too much talking about we. It's more about you. Like, what does the customer want to see? Instead of being like, we build this, it's delivering X quality for X. So like X patios or kitchen remodeling. You don't want it to be too long as well. The rest of the wording can come below. It's just to capture their attention. Even if we look at Better's website, they've played on the name of their company, making business communication better. So it's their logo, it's their name, but it's super short. Even R1, I think R1's like your AI and web development specialist. It's sort of an overall service. What we do, the idea of it really is to just hook their attention so they want to scroll down. It's so varied on what the business is, what the business does, but it needs to be short, not too long, quick to read.
Okay. If someone wants to build a landing page that converts really well, what are the tips for that? Like, what are the most impactful things that someone needs to make sure they don't miss out on if they're making a
Yeah.
landing page?
Yeah, for sure. One of the big ones that I see a lot of people get carried away with, or maybe don't even know in some respects, is page load speed. If things are not loading, the drop-off rate is huge. If your website takes, I think it's 1.4, 1.5 seconds to load, 50% of traffic will leave because that's how fast attention span is. The things that slow a website down are a combination of the sheer amount of content you've got in there. Has that content been compressed? So you need to change that image. You can get an image that's 10 megabytes. You put it through a compressor, it's half a megabyte. That basically saves load speed, which helps with website timings. Another one is videos. Videos can be good, but don't embed them into the site. Use things like Wistia, use things like YouTube, where it overlays the video, but then you have to click it to play it, or you can have them on autoplay, but it's not directly in the website. A big one is to get the conversions is call to actions. People need clear direction on what to do. People will get to the website. If you have a contact form at the bottom of the page, but there's nowhere mentioning that at the bottom of the page, you need multiple call to actions at the top in the hero section. Buy the services. It needs to be clear, work with us now, or get a free quote. It needs to be simple and obvious. The amount of landing pages we work with where there are no call to actions until you get to the very bottom, it's never going to work. Layout is also something, it doesn't need to be so compact. You don't need an awful amount of stuff in a website. You need the obvious stuff. What you guys do, show the quality of your service and how to get in contact with you. You need to show you can serve do a particular service, serve a pain point, give a service to someone who's looking for whatever it is that business does, and give them a simple way to reach out to you. Sometimes just put way too much stuff in a website. And if you come to something that's clear and easy to read, you're going to want to spend time on it. If I show you a website bombarded with stuff, you just switch off and you leave. That's it, I'm out. So yeah, I'd say speeding, layout, call to action. Those are the three biggest points in getting a better conversion.
That was perfect because I did not know the drop-off rate is that big.
It's huge. Optimizing for mobile. Again, I think we mentioned earlier, people build something for a desktop, but it won't be optimized for a mobile. Some of the stuff you have in a desktop site, you do not put in a mobile site. It could be particular sections because they don't look right in a portrait mode as they do in a landscape mode. So you take things out. And your phone isn't as powerful as a computer, so speed comes into it massively when you're loading things on a website. 50% of traffic comes from mobile devices. You need to make sure your mobile responsiveness is working correctly.
100%. And there's been so many times I've opened a website on my phone and it looks horrible. I open it on the computer. There's a massive difference. I want to use it on my phone most of the time. I think on the topic of call to actions, where can people find you if they want to reach out?
LinkedIn, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I'm on TikTok, recently started YouTube, trying to stay consistent with that. But then my website. I mean, there should be enough call to actions on my website to find out who we are, what we do, and what you want to do.
And what's the website again?
It's weareampl.com.
And lastly, before we wrap this up, what's the goal with the company right now?
The goal of the company is I want to integrate websites within AI a little bit more in terms of the back end side of things. So someone comes to your website, there's AI integrated in the website. AI is sitting on the site. It's not been used to build the site, but it is sitting within the site, ready to speak to leads, qualify prospects, book in calls. And then when those leads go through the chatbot and go into the back end system, we can implement AI solutions into the back end to start automating things like rescheduling calls if they need to, following up, re-nurturing old leads, sending out proposals, transcribing meetings, email follow-ups, reminders, a whole load of stuff. Even utilizing AI to automate blog posting on your website to help improve SEO without you needing to do anything. These are all sorts of elements. A full suite from website development to full AI systems with AI merged everywhere we can get it in, basically.
I get the feeling by the next time we talk, it's probably going to be all said and done. So,
Yeah.
I gotta say thank you so much for coming on the podcast. That was genuinely fun to listen to. It was very easy to listen to. The way you communicated every point, very succinct.
Perfect. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Take care, man. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you want more details about the speaker, on the website there's going to be a lot more details about where you can connect with them, what they're doing, and everything in detail. So check out the website, but like always, it doesn't matter what kind of information was shared today, unless you apply it into your life today, it's not going to matter. You're going to forget about it tomorrow, so always keep things simple, apply what you learned, and make sure you absolutely dominate this week. Take care, talk to you later, bye.